we will learn in this session. I'll make it short and sweet. So please pay attention for a few duration. Okay, so what are the prerequisites for learning AR and VR? And introduction, a simple introduction to AR and VR. And what are the hardware components that are required, the overview of the hardware components, and what are the development tools that is required, and how to create a simple AR based application, user interface and interaction design, and user experience, which is most important whenever we develop any application. So capturing the user experience plays a vital role in any application development, and modeling and content creation. And finally, I do have a simple quiz. Okay. So Forbes, we all knew, a pioneer, says one of the top 5 industries to be dramatically changed by virtual reality is education and training. So most of you might be in education and training. So one of the top 5 industries that will dramatically get changed because of the dawn of virtual reality and augmented reality, mixed reality, is education and training. There are many more fields, but this is one of the top 5 industries. Okay, if someone wants to learn or master or to become a subject master expert in our augmented reality and virtual reality, then he or she must have these 2 skills that is required: basic skills of 3D modeling and ideas of virtual reality and augmented reality. So these two are most expected and required. Okay. Basic skills of 3D modeling, that is, someone should be too good, because when you want to develop an application where 3D modeling is predominant and user interaction in a virtual world is predominant, people should generally have a strong inclination towards mastering the basic skills of 3D modeling and the plain understanding of augmented reality and virtual reality. Okay, to start with, what augmented reality means. As the name says, augmented, addition to, augmented means an extra addition to it, means overlaying digital information onto the real world. So it is just a computer simulated stuff in addition to a human intervention. Okay, thereby essentially enhancing one's perception of their surroundings. So virtual world merged with physical world is nothing but augmented reality. So you will have a physical feeling of the human as well as the virtual world interaction. Okay, so real plus virtual, which is a composite view, that is what augmented reality is all about. So in short, augmented reality integrates the digital elements into our existing physical environment. So this is often experienced through devices such as smartphones, tablets, smart glasses, and heads-up displays. Okay, using a phone app to see how furniture would look like in your home room before buying it is an excellent example of augmented reality. Or probably, which shirt color will suit to my skin tone. So you can use some n number of beautiful augmented reality applications before purchasing a shirt, or before purchasing a particular cloth. You can have a feel of an experience which color will suit to your skin tone. All these are all typical simple applications of augmented reality. Moving on, so this is something, a new immersive augmented reality experience. Okay, what are the key components of artificial augmented reality? A real world view. So augmented reality starts with the real world view captured by the devices. Probably people will use a camera serving as a canvas onto which digital content is overlaid, like the previous image. And computer vision. So without computer intervention, no augmented reality is possible. Okay, so computer vision recognizes the objects, the surfaces, and their spatial relationships, allowing digital content to be placed accurately. So we need to overlay the content, digital content, into the real world. So superimposing the 3D models, images, texts, and videos onto a real world based on the device understanding of the environment. So this is what a content overlay, because we need to superimpose the real world with the digital information. So that is most important. Finally, user interaction. When we say augmented reality, the user should get a feel that he is interacting with a virtual world. So, a virtual plus real physical world, a composite view, user interaction. So, augmented reality applications should allow the users to interact with the overlaid content. Probably the interaction can include gestures or voice commands, oral commands, touch inputs, etc. Okay, the typical applications of augmented reality, gaming, Pokemon Go, many such applications are there. So Pokemon Go is one popular, probably most of you might be aware of. So placing virtual characters and objects in the real world for players to interact with. Then retail and marketing business to enhance one's shopping experience by enabling the customers to visualize the products in their real environment before making a purchase. So that is the retail and marketing business. Next, education. As I said, AR will be transforming the education by bringing abstract concepts into life. So it allows the students to interact with 3D models, historical reconstructions, and more. Finally, healthcare. Though this is not an exhaustive list of applications, I have given a few important applications where augmented reality is predominantly used. So, medical professionals use augmented reality especially for their surgery, surgical navigation, where relevant data is projected onto the surgeon's field of view. Okay, now moving on to virtual reality. Yeah. What is virtual reality? Virtual reality, as the name itself says, virtual. Everything is virtual, completely virtual. You are completely immersed into a virtual world with no connection to the physical reality. Okay, so thereby a person is immersed completely into a simulated environment. Okay, there is no physical reality feeling here. So it is completely virtual. Okay, so augmented reality adds to the real world, whereas virtual reality replaces the real world and makes it completely virtual. Okay, so only virtual. So one typically experiences the virtual world, how they experience using a specialized headsets that completely immerses the users in a computer generated reality, isolating them from their actual surroundings. So one can wear an helmet and view the computer generated virtual environment. I will quickly take you to what are the devices that are used, key components that are used in VR and AR. Okay, moving on. This is what a typical headset where one will be completely immersed in a virtual reality world. Okay, what are the key components of virtual reality? We have seen the key components of augmented reality. Now we need to uh, look at the key components of virtual reality. Predominantly, headsets are used. So headsets that contain the displays that cover the user's field of view and sensors that track head movements to adjust and displayed environment accordingly. Okay, immersive environment, I said the user is completely immersed in the virtual world. Okay, where there is more fantasy, more imagination, okay, and motion tracking. Sensors will be available that will track not only the head movements but also the hand and the body movements, allowing the users to interact within the virtual world. Now there is a 3D modeling is predominantly used in virtual reality. So the stereoscopic 3D provides a sense of depth and scale of presenting slightly different images to each eye, mimicking how your eyes perceive the real world. Moving on, let us see a few applications of virtual reality. Again, this is not the exhaustive list of applications, but a few. So, gaming. So, gaming offers an unparalleled level of immersion, placing players directly within the game world. Then training and simulations, industries such as military, medicinal industries, aviation, avionics. So they predominantly use virtual reality to create their realistic training scenarios, training content. Now, therapy and rehabilitation, again, virtual reality is employed as a therapeutic tool for phobias. Phobias means the various fears a human will encounter. If someone has a fear for speaking in a stage, that is called glossophobia. So there are more than 300 phobias available, which anyone can get it from the literature and Google and Chat GPT, stuffs like that. Okay, so the virtual reality is predominantly used, and virtual tourism. So users can virtually explore distant locations, historical periods, opening up new possibilities of travel and education. Okay. Having said virtual reality and augmented reality, now people might get a confusion. What is the clear distinction between virtual reality and augmented reality? Now, please understand these are the key differences between virtual reality and augmented reality. They cannot be used interchangeably or synonymously. So virtual reality and augmented reality, they are two different terminologies. They cannot be used interchangeably or synonymously because virtual reality creates a fully immersive digital environment or experience. Okay, that simulates an imaginary world to the user. Augmented reality is a mix of digital information into the real world. Okay, virtual reality generally requires a headset or a similar kind of specialized device to immerse a user into the virtual world. Whereas augmented reality is basically accomplished through smartphones or tablets. Okay, virtual reality people use an headset. Only then they will be get completely immersed into a virtual world. Whereas in an augmented reality environment, people use smartphones or tablets. The user is isolated from the real world in the case of a virtual reality. There is no connection between the user and the real world in a virtual reality. User is completely immersed in a virtual world. Whereas in an augmented reality, the user can sense the feeling of the real world while experiencing an augmented reality uh, stuff. Okay, now in virtual reality, one should use a powerful hardware and software to create a realistic experience. See, however powerful the tool is, the application is, the user will get a enjoyable ecstasy experience while using a virtual reality based applications. Whereas for augmented reality, you need not have to use a complex hardware or powerful software. It requires relatively a simpler technology for creation of artificial reality based applications. Now, I have listed a few, though again, this is not an exhaustive list of applications. Examples, so PlayStation virtual reality, Samsung Gear virtual reality, HTC Vive, all these are all simple examples that uses virtual reality. At the same time, for artificial reality, Pokemon Go, Google Maps, artificial reality, and IKEA app. These are all, of course, Google Maps uses artificial intelligence, uses deep learning, uses machine learning, a fusion of artificial reality, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. All these are all the trending technologies of the current era. Okay. Now, what are the general hardware components that are used? Headsets, sensors. Sometimes the sensors is fixed on the head, or the sensors is also fixed on the surrounding also. Optics, optical technology, appropriate display technology, and since we are going to view a 3D based components, so user can give oral commands, so good sound audio system, and apart from that, spatial awareness is also most important, and accordingly the spatial sound is also important. Now, while tracking and sensing, we do have two types of technologies, inside out. In inside out tracking is where the sensor is placed on the head of the person. Whereas in an outside in tracking technology, sensing technology, the sensors is not associated with the human, the sensors are associated with the environment. Okay. Now, three best virtual reality headsets for 2025. These are the three best to have a excellent experience in using a virtual reality applications. One needs these powerful specialized headsets. There is people used to say mixed reality. Now, what is this mixed reality? So, mixed reality combines the elements of both artificial augmented reality and virtual reality. So it seamlessly integrates the digital content into the real world. At the same time, allows the user to interact with the virtual world. So this technology holds the potential to revolutionize fields like design, collaboration, and entertainment. So mixed reality is not an old technology. It is also a trending technology. So here you can see the mixed reality where the people uses a headset and for learning purpose. Okay, they are trying to understand the anatomy of a human body. Okay, in education, this is one picture that depicts the usage of mixed reality in education. Okay. Now, what are the tools that are available for platforms that are available for artificial augmented reality? Apple's AR kit, we knew Apple phones are all based on iOS technology. So, for developing iOS based application, one should know Swift. So Swift language is one such language that is used for developing iOS based applications, Apple's. Now, similarly, for Android based platforms, AR Core from Google's product. So AR Core can be used for developing Android based augmented reality applications, whereas Apple's AR Kit is used for developing iOS based for an iOS platform augmented reality applications. Now, similarly, we do have the development tools for virtual reality. So, for virtual reality, we do have Unity 3D and Unreal Engine. So, people can use these platforms or engines for developing a virtual reality based applications. Now, how to create a simple augmented reality experience? The steps are five steps. First, you need to set up the development environment, either a Visual Studio Code or an iOS based platform or an Android platform, whichever platform you want to develop. First, you need to have the development environment. See, if someone wants to develop and run any application, first and foremost, the prime most requirement is a platform. One requires a platform to develop and run any application. Similarly, for developing these specialized augmented reality or virtual reality based application, one should first set up the development environment. Now, after setting up the development environment, one should create a new project. Here, augmented reality project. After creating a new augmented reality project, you can add the suitable augmented reality elements and objects into your application. And then, after determining what are the assets that are required for your augmented reality application development, then you can implement the various interactions with the objects and the user. What are all the possible interactions that can be demonstrated between the user and the augmented reality elements in the application? Finally, in any application, We require testing. When the testing is when the application passed through the testing, whether it is alpha testing or a beta testing, once the testing is done, then the application is ready for deployment. Okay, you can even deploy in an application store, and thereby the once the application is deployed, people can use the application deployed application from an app store. So these are the simple 5 steps. Okay, so for developing your adding AR elements, either you can use AR core, or for VR development tools, you need to use Unity 3D or Unreal Engine. So for augmented reality development tools, you require AR Kit or AR Core. Okay, I'm going to give you a gist of this. Okay, developing one AR based application might be beyond the scope of today's discussion, because I don't know, the audience might be a mixed group, and how I don't know how people will like programming and development and all. Okay, being a mixed group, I will just give you the gist of how to develop an AR based application and what are the parameters that one should take into account whenever developing an AR based applications or VR based applications.